We're going to turn a piece of pallet wood into something like this. First of all, I like to grab my little knife, my pencil, and the pattern, wherever that might be. In here somewhere. Right here. Alright, so here we got a pattern that I made with all my information, because I forget sometimes, you know, what everything does here. But I made it out of a grapefruit can. So we're going to trace this pattern. We're going to grab this 1/2-inch drill bit. Okay. We're going to have to drill a hole. So we want to alright, so then pull that out like that. Alright. Now we're going to cut the pattern out. So here we have the blank cut out, and I'm going to have to chisel that out a little bit with the drill bit. And I've got a 1/2-inch drill bit that is measured precisely with tape, so I get the exact depth every time. So you see I have the tape marking where I'm going to have to stop when I drill into that.
There was this guy, came from down below to land up high with lots of ice and snow. He worked so hard to try to make ends meet, but he was...
Here we have a pattern for the eye placement and the line tie. So because you want everything to be precise every time, I made it where everything is precise. The eyeballs and the line tie. Okay. Back fins to go. And then I'm going to mark X for my other holes that I'm going to do. And then I want to, with the bandsaw, cut this excess wood there, and then this right here to about the middle. Like that. That's going to give us our contour, our side contour. Now we're going back here and we're going to drill the eye holes first. Now we're going to put the line tie hole. Alright, and then we want to poke a hole right there where I drew the mark. Boom. And then we're going to poke that hole and this hole. Alright. And now we have the eyes drilled out and the holes for the line tie and the back fins. Next thing is we're going to cut the slot for the back fins and cut the excess contour.
If I had my way, here's what I would do.
Now we have the contour cut out and the eyes and the line tie and back fin holes drilled out, the lead cavities drilled out. We're ready to carve. So one thing I like to do is make sure that I have a real sharp knife. First I like to wet the stone. You have to be real careful when holding a stone like this. And the knife, what I'll do is I'll pass 10 times this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Flip it, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Sometimes they leave me blue when things don't go my way.
Yeah, you don't need the knife sharper than that.
That's life, but it's okay.
Had this stone for many years. Okay, so now we're gonna start carving. What I like to do is I like to get the bottom lip trimmed up so that it's got the right contour. I could have done that with the bandsaw, but this is just too easy.
Don't you worry, get happy again. It's not hard.
It's important to try to make everything symmetrical. So you look at it, when you carve, you try to look at it and say, okay, this looks pretty good. You want to maybe trim that a little bit so that it's symmetrical. So then after that, then I'll start doing the edges. And this operation right here, you can take your time. You don't need to take a lot of wood off at once.
It's a clean word by far. You won't put a dime in the jar, 'cause love's not a dirty word.
Alright, so you got the top edge done, and we flip it and do the bottom edge.
I won't wash your mouth out with soap, 'cause love's not a dirty word. Love, I just don't hear it enough. Love is nothing to be ashamed of.
I've been carving since I was like 8 years old. My dad was a woodworker, cabinet maker, and so there was always like wood laying around. Alright, now it's time to sand. Alright, so now we're going to come over here, put away our pencil knife, frog patterns, and then we're going to grab the crotch stick. That's how you sand the crotch on these things. Okay. And then also we're going to grab a piece of 60 grit sandpaper. So now we're going to just round the edges off with the 60 grit. you look at this side here, I've rounded the edges versus, you know, where I had carved the contour, and you round that.
But oh, please let me. Oh, please let me make it right. The smell of paint still lingers. Your sorrow holds on tight. But oh, please.
We're gonna primer this frog now, and then we're gonna get our smelter going. While the smelter is getting hot, we're gonna primer this bad boy that we just carved. So what I like to do is I'll take my primer, and then I'll start with the legs. Stick the froggy on the notches that we made earlier, and it's held in place. So now we're going to finish off the area where we used to handle the frog.
But oh, please let me.
Now we're going to make the hardware for Mr. Frog. We're going to need the patterns. They're back here, and there's a tail pattern, the feet pattern, and then I use a little Sharpie. So we have some tin that I prepared earlier. We just cut the old grapefruit cans that I've saved, and so then we're going to use this little cardboard pattern that I made, and then we're going to draw a line there, and then we're going to cut right along that line. When you're working with tin, you want to make sure that you're not cutting your fingers and that you're being careful. You always want to have a nice good grip and play it safe. Alright. There's another pattern here. Here's another pattern that I use for making the fins. Front fins. And so what I'll do is I'll place the little pattern like that, and then we'll draw out where I'm supposed to cut. Perfect. And so then we'll cut that part out like that. And that part. Okay. Next thing we want to do is cut the back fins. So I'll take the pattern, and then I'll trace. I'll bend this in half.
Every night I dream castles in the sky, wishing to be there with you, seeing eye to eye. Oh, standing there with my arms in your
I gotta drill 2 little parallel holes.
Oh, standing there, I would whisper.
Next thing you want to do is clean up the edges.
Stay with me, don't fly.
Alright. Cool. So now we're going to develop the back fins.
Searching for you under the burning star. My heart will find
Like so. Here's the 1. So these parts right here are set and ready to go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is make the line tie. Cut a piece of wire like that, and then I'll give it a couple loops. And this is 20 gauge cheap wire. Usually I use, or 22 gauge. Usually I'll use some better wire, but this will work. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll give it 2 loops. Like that. And that's going to be just fine, I think. See, that's going to be your right time. I'm going to fill this up with some water, and I'm going to grab my airbrush. Alright, so now we got this very old airbrush here that I just absolutely love. Because it's simple. Things don't have to be complicated to work for you. And then you just, tighten that up. I like to use the number 2 bit. There, it's a little more coarse, but we don't need anything fine for this type of deal. So then we just get the brush put together. First color we're going to go is with the red, a nice light red with the screen here, this hairnet, and we're going to make it look really cool. Little blush mark. See that? Isn't that pretty? Put the screen on. This is just a hairnet. If you put the red paint on real light, it's going to be pink on that white. On the white primer. So then when you take the net off, she looks like a scaly, cool, scaly color. This is the line tie. We're going to add it now to the painted decoy. Because we could add it now and it's going to be just fine. I like doing it like this because you could paint and it's not going to, hardware won't be in the way of painting. Bend the wire. Alright, so then we're going to go over to the smelting pot and see if we can pour some lead. Then we're going to come over here and pour the lead. Alright, so now we'll let that cool down a little bit and then we'll throw the sparklies on. Once again, we're going to want to put some of this spar varnish.
She's purring like a cat, and I can't ignore that.
Alright. Now the fun part. We're going to add the spark, the glitter to the sides here.
Every word. This is what I heard. I wanna make love.
And there you have it. We're going to make some eyeballs. You got shards of amber glass that I like to use. And then here we got some white glass beads, real white glass beads. And then here we have some black glass beads. Alright, so first what I like to do is I like to create the rods by carefully melting the glass so you could work with it. And here we got a little shard attached to this end here, this wire. And then I got this other wire that I'll use to stretch it out. And we'll make a quick amber rod. we're making a rod so that when you go to make the glass eye, you got, that's how, the only way you could do it.
Long ago, I still can't remember, was a girl who caught my eye.
So the next thing you want to do is make your black glass rod. You do it in the same manner. You'll have to melt a glob of little black beads and then pull it out in that same manner. Then you take your wire. This is 22 gauge steel wire, and you try to get it as straight as possible. And I just do that by pulling it out like that. You don't want it to spin really straight, evenly. Sometimes you can take a block of wood and then you take your little black glass, you heat it up, and you're going to add that to the end. You just want a little black bead at the end of that. See that? Not too small, not too big. You got that? Now, we're going to add the white bead to the, can you see? And then you heat it up, melt it together. What I like to do is I like to push that black bead flat. Boom. See that? Alright, so now we'll add this amber rod around the white and black bead. See how I'm curling that around? Kind of creating a Saturn type pattern. Saturn pattern. So you gotta just carefully roll that on there into like a dish shape. Okay, see that? And then you roll that eyeball around that flame until it melts into a little glob. You see the magic happening? And you turn it like this. This is a eyeball. We're going to see if we can finish this frog. As you can see, I've finished 5 of them today, or 6 of them today. Here, this is number 67. I stamped the frogs on the feet now. I have a stamper, and can you see that number on there? Okay, and so we're going to see if we could finish this frog, number 68. We got one eyeball blown, and the fins are cut out, and so we just have to blow another eyeball. It's actually not called blowing, it's actually, I think someone told me it's called lamp work. Anyway, I'm self-taught, so I really don't know the terminologies. Something that took me a couple years to figure out how to do. Here's an old German blowtorch. It's called a Little Wonder torch. I love it because it runs off of 91% isopropyl alcohol, which is fairly inexpensive. And to get it going, we'll Put just a little bit of alcohol in there.
There's nothing in this world.
What happens is that little primer, that little little cup of alcohol starts heating up and building up pressure to where it forces the alcohol that I just poured in out the nozzle. Pretty ingenious. Okay, once that burns out, we got a hot torch going, which is good. There's some rods that I made the other day, and I should have a black rod in here, right here. Attached. Right to glass beads. You want to insert before we. Alright. So if you could zoom in on this, you can see how I attach the black bead.
Well, my girl, I bet you be a sight. Dancing with my honey makes me feel alright. Oh yeah, let's feel alright.
Pair of eyes. Next thing we want to do is we're going to stamp this fin with a 68. We just finished 67. And I was born in 68. How about that? Alright, so now we're going to attach the back fins. We have a pre-drilled hole. I'll try to get this little valley in the fin to line up with that where it'll be drilled. So then we drill the hole. We take our what is this 16 gauge wire. We'll cut a little piece off with the pointed end, and then just drive it in, and that holds that back fin in place, and it pivots to change the direction of the swim. So then we do the next one. Okay, so then we want to cut this at an angle so that it's got a point. And then we drive it in. Boom. Back fins are in. See, if you turn them like that, it's going to swim counterclockwise. You adjust it to fit this way, it'll swim clockwise. Now we're going to install the eyeballs. Okay. So what I like to do is I use my awl and do a little pilot hole in the eye socket. I'm going to take my wire cutters and leave a little pin, and then we stick the eyeball in that little pilot hole. push it in. Same with the other one. There you have it. Eyeballs are in. Now to finish Mr. number 68, we're going to take our previously made fins here, and what we do is we shape the piece with Mr. 68 here. Kind of get an idea of where it's gonna wrap on there. So I'll give it a little bend. And this front and the back I'll bend inwards too, so it cups the bottom there. Next I make the mounting hardware, same 16 gauge wire. What I'll do is I'll flatten it. I'll flatten the end there. I'll cut the edge off there, and then I'll give it a bend like that. Then I'll cut it about 1/4 of an inch with a point. I like to file that little burr off the point so it goes in easily. Alright, so we'll make 2 of those.
Call me barbaric, call me anything, but I'll be feasting just like a king, eating homemade pickled northern from
And I'll bend little arms.
Don't wanna take that northern home. Don't throw away the wild.
Now we have number 68 complete. Now we're going to see if this frog is balanced. Make sure that each frog that I make, I put them in this little tank of water. And we want our decoy to sit in the water level. Not up, not facing up, or not facing down. So we'll put it in the little tank here. And you see that it's perfectly balanced. How about that, huh? Number 68.
And it ain't hard to make. If you got patience, it's a piece of cake. Go on and try it, and you will know not to let that northern go. I like to pop off the lid, especially just like my daddy did, eating homemade pickled northern from a mason jar. Oh yeah! It ain't hard to make. If you got patience, it's a piece of cake. Go on and try it, and you will know not to let that northern go. I like to have it any time of day, no matter what some might say. Eating homemade pickled northern from a mason jar. Homemade pickled northern from a mason jar.